friends, and restaurants are suffering, bars are suffering. It's a problem.
Okay, and you can talk about that.
Of course I
Okay.
can, Miss Angie. Good
All right.
morning.
Morning. We'll start with that, okay?
Yes.
All right. Just took my rollers out. Who knows how crazy this looks? All
So did
right.
I. So did I.
Good.
My
We
my rollers out too.
we both sleep with our rollers in.
2, 1, Matt, and Tony. We have good news for Tony. There we go. The grandma.
Oh, 11, 10. Here we go in 5.
I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went.
Welcome back to Daybreak USA.
Hey, friend, Angie Austin here, along with another friend from tnztalk.com, Tony Trupiano. And I just want to say good morning to you, Tony. And I know that you were, in on the ground floor of the whole Flint water story because you are a well-known political face, but also news face in Michigan. That was something that you really helped break, correct? Like in terms of covering it.
Absolutely. In fact, I was the only one talking about it long before it became a public shame. And in fact, that's how I ended up meeting you, was through that story.
That's true. And people are now fighting a new health threat that appears to be related to the city's water crisis. The threat is an infectious bacterial disease that spreads when people don't wash their hands. Health officials say people are afraid to use tap water, so they're bathing less and refusing to wash their hands using baby wipes instead. But the health officials are saying these wipes don't kill the bacteria that can cause fever and stomach pain. And as we all know, dangerously high levels of lead turned up in Flint's water last year because of contamination from old pipes. So what are you hearing about this bacteria that's now in the water? Which, by the way, I have a company that I'm working with, Alexapure, and pretty soon they're building a website for me called Water with Angie, just as a side note, because we filter all our water like right on the counter now for the kids.
And I think that that's important no matter where you live. I mean, this is an infrastructure issue. It's certainly not exclusive to Flint, as you're well aware, Angie.
Right.
But this story continues to be a major issue. There is, I would think at this point, such a radical fear, and I don't mean that in a negative way, of the water in Flint, that why would you ever want to use it? Why would you want to wash your hands in it? Why would you want to bathe in it? Would you want to wash your clothes in it? And even if you get a report that says, hey, the water is safe or safer, it's okay to wash in it, maybe not drink it, would you? I wouldn't. And this is a serious, serious issue. And this bacteria, unfortunately, is going to affect who most? Young people and the elderly. Two constituencies that get right to my heart, sweetie. Those are two groups of people that it just, really makes me squirm when I think about them getting sick over something like a government ignored problem.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that issue. All right, what about kids everywhere will love this discovery? I like that tease. What's that about? Since we're both lovers of kids. You have 4 kids, right?
I have 3. Well, unless you count Vinny the Wonder Dog.
Yes, right. That's your 4th. And
That's
John,
my 4th.
Producer John, has 4. I've got 3. So we obviously love kids on the show. And Trevino is like a kid in his 20s. He's like my 4th kid.
I'll go with that. In China they found a huge dinosaur footprint, and it's huge, Angie. And so they have, of course, put a model together, a drawing of how big this dinosaur would be. And of course, dinosaurs have been a favorite of kids for decades now, and they're still very popular.
I'm looking at the footprint. It's bigger than a man, the footprint. Whoa.
Oh, yeah. It's massive, and it looks to be real. And I read the article, and I think that it all checks out. So for those that don't think that we had creatures walking this earth long before us, think again.
All right, so I want to do my good news story, but you have about a minute to talk about the debate tonight. I think people aren't as interested in the VPs, but I'm looking at who they surround themselves with. To be honest with you, Trump is known for surrounding himself with good people. So regardless of that's kind of my poll on him. That I'm kind of looking to see who he surrounds himself with.
All right. Well, again, because we come from very different political ideologies, I don't think he surrounds himself with very good people. Rudy Giuliani and Chris Christie are two people that concern me a great deal. Rudy Giuliani has just become unhinged. All he does is scream and yell, and Chris Christie, of course, has his problems in New Jersey with this Bridgegate scandal, and it looks like he may have lied about that, which would be really tragic. And what he
You don't even want to open the can of lying worms.
Well, listen, there's lying everywhere, but I want to just quickly mention that we've got to stop the dialogue. Well, I know he did this, but what about her?
Right.
It's a elementary school playground thing, and it's driving me nuts.
I'm so tired too of the political speak. I think that like I am here to tell you whatever you would like to hear, and then when I go to another group, I will tell them what they want to hear. All politicians, it drives me nuts. All right, I want to do this this good news story. So, 101-year-old man wants to get a ride on a Harley before he leaves this world and goes to heaven.
It's one last ride, and for Ray Wesser, it's the ride of a century.
I'll be 102 in December.
Ray's been riding Harley since he was just a teen.
Harley, dripping oil, smoke coming out of everywhere, and I fell in love with motorcycles right there.
Since then, he's been hooked. He even worked for Harley Davidson for 24 years. Not only was he a die-hard Harley rider, he's also a proud military veteran.
Thank you for your service. Thanks for riding Harleys.
So today, members from his Prescott Valley community, hospice, the VFW, along with the help of the Grand Canyon Harley Davidson, rallied around Ray to give him one last wish with one last ride.
It was just a natural for us to come out and put him on the back of a new Tri-Glide and take him for a ride.
And Ray couldn't wait to jump back on a bike.
Yes, indeed.
He's an amazing man. He's almost 102 with it, in good spirits and body falling apart. Not supposed to last that long, but, he's grateful for every day.
Ray's granddaughter says he's especially grateful for one more ride that's helped bring his life full circle.
This is an amazing thing. I'm pretty sure he thinks he's died and gone to heaven already.
Oh, come on, Tony. How sweet is that?
Angie, very quickly, it reminds me of a story I saw this morning. A 103-year-old woman got arrested yesterday, but on purpose. She always wanted to ride in the back of a police car, so they, quote unquote, arrested her and gave her a ride.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Oh, thank you, friend. That was cute.
Trevino, can you call me right back?
All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll talk tomorrow.
Bye, friend.
Bye.
John.
So we'll do the 91-year-old grandma, and then we're going to say for John Rush, we'll save the entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, I can cut that. Cut.
John's having issues with his.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's get in here. La 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 la. Paste. Okay. Oh, I am super hungry this morning. That like pit in your stomach, like hungry, like you're like, wow. Oh. Oh.
11:20.
These go right up on our YouTube channel then, huh? Right, Trevino?
Yes.
I just have to go in. I didn't change them yesterday. I was so busy. Like the tags and all. I'll go in and do that today.
Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else.
Welcome back to Daybreak USA.
Oh, I love good news. You know, even when I left TV news, started a show called The Good News, which I still do. So I've incorporated a lot of that good news into Daybreak because it just, I don't know, it makes me feel good. So this sweet little old lady, she's not 101 like the last guy. She's in her 90s, and her husband had been a big rig driver. And Winona, Minnesota is where my parents live. And my stepmom and my dad. I love my stepmom. She's the best. And this sweet little old lady went to Winona to take truck driving school. Seriously, here's part one.
Tons of steel and rubber rolling down the highway. It's beautiful.
Louise Spencer has clearly given this some thought.
All of them are not pretty, but most of them are to me.
The result of being married to her truck driving late husband, Leo, and a lingering desire.
I can't think of anything else that I would want to do that I haven't done.
Now,
Okay.
a week shy of her 92nd birthday,
I'm ready to drive that truck.
Louise has a date.
35,000 pounds.
My mother's driving an 18-wheeler. Would you not go see your mother do that?
Hey. Tom Gierach will be Louise's instructor.
You do all right? So good to see you.
An old friend since yesterday when she first met him at the truck driving school at Minnesota State College Southeast in Winona.
Everything she's done has been spirited.
Brought up poor, then abandoned by her first husband to raise 4 young children on her own.
She worked all day. She was a dental assistant, and then she would come home at night and sew clothes for people to make extra money.
And now,
Always.
good luck, just 6 months removed from breast cancer and a mastectomy.
They put your name on the door of the truck.
Louise is kicking the bucket list.
Okay, so she was a single mom who did a lot. Here's part two.
We're going to go ahead and start it up. And then right out that way, dear. We're going to go straight back that way, Louise.
Louise stayed on the college's closed course,
Oh, my goodness gracious.
driving the truck
Honk if you're 91.
like she's lived her life.
Keeping it between the ditches. I forgot to tell you all I have a heavy foot.
For much of her life,
Good.
Louise has been carrying
Hard left.
more than her share of the load.
She did great.
Let's find the other one.
Honorary truck driver.
About time.
I love it. Hey, a woman who was late for work lies about a clown attacking her. A clown didn't attack her. What did happen? Coming up. You were talking to me, weren't you, Trevino, about the video?
What?
No?
No.
You were talking to me. Oh, John. Okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream.
All right. Lost tons of weight like you did.
Oh, wow.
Tons.
Oh, really?
Yeah. How much
Oh,
again?
cool. Me?
Yeah.
125.
John, you're 80 something, right?
Yeah, about 80. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And John's super young. You know, he's mid 30s with the 4 kids. I always tease him about that. He had
Right
like
on.
4 kids at 30.
Right on. Good for you.
They're fun.
Nothing
How
wrong
many
with
do you
that.
have, John?
I have 7.
Rush.
7?
5 and 10?
You'll be
I'll
there
pray for
too,
you.
John.
No.
You'll be there too.
Here we go on 5.
I'll be back in my bag when I need to stay. I'll be chasing every breeze that flows my
Welcome back to Daybreak USA.
John Rush, host of Rush to Reason, is joining us. And John, you're with Crawford Broadcasting, and you joined me to talk conservative topics. And I have to say, you know, we're colleagues too, because I also do another program with them. And I have to say the whole, you know, the umbrella over us when we do our shows is God and country.
Yes.
And I really like that because I think I'm a pretty non-judgmental, open-minded person. I'm married to someone who's very liberal. Like, look, I love everyone, for goodness sakes. But I love that we can talk about our faith as well, which I think is totally
Amen.
cool.
Amen.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yes, agree.
All right, let's start. Donald Trump says he has brilliantly used tax laws legally to his benefit. Take a listen.
I have brilliantly used those laws. I have often said on the campaign trail that I have a fiduciary responsibility to pay no more tax than is legally required, like anybody else.
Yep, that's a fact.
It is a fact, and he was campaigning, as you know, in Colorado last night. He said he understands the complex U.S. tax code better than most people, and the tax system is complex and unfair. He responded to the weekend New York Times report that he took a loss of nearly $1 billion in '95, and Hillary's really playing up on that because she's acting like he was an idiot for losing that much money. That's her new spin on it.
Right, right. Yeah, well, and that's always going to be the left spin that, well, he wasn't smart enough, he wasn't good enough. Well, what were these investments that he lost all this money on? What was actually going on? And the reality is, in business, if you lose money, the way our tax code is written, and it's been this way for a very long time, if you lose money, you have the opportunity to take that loss carry forward, is what we call it in the business world. You can take that loss carry forward. It depends on what the loss is and what happened. In this particular case, he had 3 years he could go back in time. 3 years back in time, 15 years ahead of time, 18 years total with that loss.
All right, and I know you always research like the details of these stories. So again, he's a businessman. It was legal. He did nothing wrong. I think it is suspect that a newspaper, the New York Times, released this. And again, more is coming out about their tax situation because apparently taking these types of big write-offs for people who take big risks, it isn't that uncommon because big risk equals big loss. And then you are a businessman as well. And the Clintons, so I know not only are you a radio host, you run a thriving business. The Clintons earn their money in politics, which once you're elected is a much safer way. You get a guaranteed paycheck, and then you get these guaranteed big, book deals that are multi-million-dollar book deals. So it's not a risky way to make money per se.
No, it is not. In fact, it's a very safe way for them to make money because they pretty much have guaranteed income coming in every single year. When you're in business for yourself, like Donald is, like I am, the reality is, I have to make money every single solid day. I have to do what I do on a daily basis. My people that work for me, I have to make sure that they're incentivized, that they make money, that they make us as a company money. And that's what Donald does every day. No offense, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, they don't have to do the same thing because their money pours in no matter what. In fact, when it comes to Hillary Clinton and you have a foundation and you're Secretary of State, you just pay for play and you have all the money coming in you ever wanted.
Well, I'll tell you, I know their daughter's really bright, but she never had to do what I did and, live, in this is suffice it to say that there were places that I lived when I was in my 20s trying to work my way up the ladder in Los Angeles that were not much bigger than a walk-in closet. So she definitely never had that experience. Their kid definitely was living large immediately. All right. So the FBI agreed to destroy laptops of Clinton aides with an immunity deal. What's the deal? What do you mean destroy laptops? Give you immunity and you can destroy your laptop? What?
That's exactly what they told them. They would, if they destroyed their laptops, which was interesting, which means they didn't even pull any information off of those laptops so they could gather information on what Hillary, everything that was going on when it came to the email, the server, all those different things. Yeah, they basically just gave immunity and said, yep, you can destroy the laptops, no big deal. That is unheard of, Angie. You cannot do that. That if you and I did that, we would be in jail today.
Right. Right. That's the crazy thing about it. We would be in jail today. All right. Real quickly, the Bill Clinton son story, which I found interesting about this is I didn't realize that in a lot of political circles, this had been going around for years, that he had this son that now has his own Facebook page. And the hate that people are spewing at him on this Facebook page is really appalling to me. It's like everybody's come out from under a rock to be mean to this young man. If indeed it's true, when I read the story, people actually had, tried to talk to Bill, tried to talk to Hillary years and years and years ago about, hey, Bill has a son, we think, let's do a DNA test. And they really shut the door on this. So this isn't new info about this young man.
No, it really isn't. I, like you, even though I run in all these circles, I was not I'd heard about this years ago, wasn't super aware of what was going on. And so I did a little bit of research on it and read his Facebook page, looked at some things. Is there a resemblance? I don't know. Is this the real son of Bill Clinton? The reality is, I don't know. The real answer is, why don't they just do a DNA test and be done with it? Sounds like they did one at one point in time, but from what I'm understanding off of what this gentleman's Facebook page says is it was totally bogus. So who knows? Here's the interesting part about all this. Whether it's true or not, you know what? This guy has a right to put his Facebook page up. He has a right to say whatever he wants to. If the Clintons want to discredit it, then go out, get it discredited, and be done with it. That's
Right.
If I was them, the first thing I would do is get a DNA test, get this thing
And just-
handled, and get this
and
kid out
just
of the way.
Shut it down. All right,
Exactly.
Rush to Reason, John Rush. Check him out. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Angie. Take care.
All right, entertainment headlines back in New York City. Kim Kardashian, what happened with her, Eddie Murphy, etc. Here we go.
Good morning, Angie. Here's what's happening. Kim Kardashian is back in the United States in her apartment in New York City after reportedly being robbed at gunpoint in Paris. Security guards are being stationed outside her and Kanye West's Tribeca neighborhood apartment, and barricades have been set up with some reporters and fans waiting outside. Kardashian told police that men posing as cops made off with several $1 million in jewelry after tying her up in a bathroom. I think we haven't heard the whole story. Eddie Murphy is being recognized for his decades of work in show business. He'll receive a Career Achievement honor at the Hollywood Film Awards next month. The 53-year-old Murphy rose to fame on SNL and is best known for his hits like Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places, and Coming to America. The 20th Annual Hollywood Film Awards will be hosted by late-night host James Corden at the Beverly Hilton on November 6th. A New York artist is paying tribute to Christopher Walken in a fascinating way. Monument to Walken is a stretch of miniature statues depicting the Academy Award-winning actor. They're spread across a park in Queens. The art display will stay up in the park until March of next year. A new Pirates of the Caribbean movie is coming out. Sunday, the trailer for the 5th movie in the series, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales, was released. The film hits theaters in May. German police say Arnold Schwarzenegger can be back, but without his bicycle. Police in Munich saw 2 men racing bicycles through a busy train station. When they stopped one of them, he said he had to catch up with the other, Schwarzenegger, because he's the action star's bodyguard. They thought he was kidding, but came back a few minutes later with Schwarzenegger. The star apologized and said he was having trouble walking and offered to pose for a picture as an apology. I'm Ben Olson for Daybreak USA.
Thanks, Ben. All right, that woman who said she was late for work, she lied about a clown attacking her. What did happen? And then a daredevil train surfing woman. Ooh, coming up.
That was good.
With what?
Yeah, just enough time for Ben.
I know. Oh, my gosh.
Good thing he talks fast.
I forgot that John Rush is in the auto industry, so I might be able to have him help me steer me in the right direction to get the car checked
Get it?
out.
Steer you in the right direction?
Yeah.
We're showing
Chris, any update? Soft foods?
Yeah, I'm on a liquid diet.
Are you?
How is that different than any other day?
Oh, how
Ooh, you like how
dare you?
That's funny. Oh, there's
How dare you bring up his alcohol dependency on the live stream?
There's video on Fox right now showing a guy riding a little tricycle in like downtown traffic. That's pretty interesting. I wish I could show that video. That's pretty funny right there. Tricycle.
Do I look like I have an alcohol problem?
You don't even sound like one.
The question is, what's in this cup?
Scotch and water hold the water?
Wouldn't put it past me. Hey, so I want to actually plug in, speaking of coffee. Coffee. There's a thing that just hit the wire all about this study that came out that says if you drink coffee as hot as you get at most coffee shops, or tea for that matter, that you're increasing your risk of esophageal cancer by a ton. So I was thinking we could plug that in somewhere.
Sure.
If there's a
just add it and you just like something to tease your, to remind yourself to do it in the next hour. And then John, didn't we teased the hungry pigs chomp lawns in Northern California? I didn't see that in the last hour and under our news headlines. We teased that with Opelka.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I didn't see it underneath last hour.
Yeah, it was in there.
Was it?
It was at the very bottom.
Because I tried to asterisk the ones that to remind me, to do them.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as we didn't do it, I grabbed it and dragged it down to this hour.
Okay. All right.
I'll do, if we get to it, I'll do clown.
Oh yeah, we need to
Woman
do
lies
that
about
one.
clown.
Where is that?
About halfway down.
It's
Okay.
under.
Yeah, we got to
it's
do
under
that.
Trevina's.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
That one we have to do. Cut.
Welcome back to Daybreak USA.
Hello, friend. Angie Austin here, along with John DeMaster and Chris Barnes. We have some, hard news headlines, but some really interesting headlines about, pigs that are chomping on a Northern California neighborhood. What was that, bacon that eats your lawn or something like that? One of our friends called it. And then these moose that won't be held back from their girlfriends. They're busting through the fence. And I've got a little elk story from my neck of the woods. And then the woman who was late for work lying about a clown attacking her. But John, let's start with serious news. We'll start hard news and then get lighter.
This is just disturbing. Police in Detroit are investigating the shooting death of this guy whose last moments were shown on Facebook Live. John Kroll says he instinctively hit record while using the streaming service on his phone after finding the victim, who was 20 years old.
My only point of even recording anything was to save a record for the police because, in this day and age, if anything happens, everybody turns on their cell phone to get a record of it because the video doesn't lie.
So he first thought the person had been hit by a car when he came upon him last Thursday. A 26-year-old man shot during the same time is in critical condition. He deleted the video, and Detroit police report the file hadn't provided any new clues in their investigation so far. And don't you just think it takes more work to go into your phone and then find the Facebook app and then hit the live stream instead of maybe just shooting video and giving it only to the authorities? Why does that have to go on the internets?
All right, we talked earlier about in Michigan, they're fighting a new health threat. So it's not just now lead in the water. There's also a bacteria. So just wanted to recap that. But Chris, there's also a story that's much lighter. But I know there's been weird excuses about people being late for work. I remember one lady called in and said she was too fat to fit into her work pants, and there's all kinds of other things that come about. So this woman lied about being attacked by a clown because there have been these clown attacks right around the country.
Well, in at least 20 states now, as a matter of fact. There have been at least reports of these creepy clowns. Now, a lot of these are obviously some sort of hoaxy, crazy thing because I don't think police have made a single arrest when it comes to actual clowns. But they've made a lot of arrests for people that have either claimed to have seen clowns and then recanted their stories and so forth. This woman jumped on the creepy clown bandwagon and used it as an excuse for being late for work. She's 18 years old. She's an Ohio woman, and she lied to her workplace that the reason she was late for work was she had been attacked by a knife-wielding clown. So now, as a result, the folks that work at her office, her bosses said, well, we've got to report this. So, she ended up having to report it to police, who pretty quickly determined that it wasn't true. And now she's the one in trouble. She's not feeling like a clown today because, in fact, she's being charged with having made a false report, which is a pretty serious charge.
Oh, yeah. All right. Speaking of serious, don't get in between a moose and the ladies, okay, or elk for that matter. So in Alaska, there's a big chain link fence, and it doesn't stop these guys. I mean, I'm sure you've seen, the elk go after each other, but these moose went through after each other, clashing together with their antlers, bashing them together through the chain link fence. And then one of them actually ripped the fence post out and knocked his rival backwards. I mean, the fence was not going to stop him. And we were up in the Rocky Mountain National Park last year, and my husband, he thinks he's real funny. We're in the car, and we don't get out of the car like all these other weirdos that want to put little Susie, their 2-year-old, up on the back of an elk, which, by the way, is really not a good idea. Or the guy last year taking the selfie that got gored. Okay, so we stay in the car. But my husband was on the road right in between the male and the females, and the male was trying to get across the road, and he edged the car up a little bit. I was taking video. That elk freaked out and started bugling like 2 feet from my face, and my husband's like, don't worry the car. I'm like, I don't
Get the window
care.
shut.
I know, I didn't have the window shut. And I'm like, I don't care. Stop moving the car. Let him get to the ladies, okay? He wants to be by the ladies. So anyway, he got to go over by the ladies.
Those moose antlers can bust through a windshield pretty easily.
Yeah, well, this was elk, but still, again,
elk,
they're huge. All right, so we've got another story about pigs chomping lawns in California. So bacon eating on your lawn.
Yeah, these bacon plants apparently strike in the middle of the night, according to KNTV in California. And what they're doing is they're digging up front lawns in the Evergreen neighborhood. And if you've ever seen pigs in action, because I'm a farm boy, I've seen pigs doing their thing, and they are just the most destructive creatures. They use their noses and they just dig and dig and dig. They can get under fences if they're allowed to dig long enough. But these 20 wild boars have destroyed more than a half dozen lawns in the neighborhood in just the past week. Some have also eaten geranium plants. I did not know that geraniums tasted that good, but apparently they think that pigs are coming from nearby ranch land. They've probably dug underneath the fence and they made their way into this nice neighborhood because geraniums are apparently delicious.
Wow, 20 wild boars. Sounds like the start of the field for the presidential race back when the primary season started.
Oh, yes, 20 wild boars. Oh, hey, we don't hear from producer Trevino that often, but he has a story about, there's the Denver boot. Now apparently there's the barnacle. Producer Trevino, what's this one about?
So get this, Angie. The barnacle is basically a boot for your windshield. So the police puts it on your windshield when you're parked in the wrong place, and then you have to call the number on the barnacle, and then they'll give you a code to unlock the barnacle, and then I think you have to return it. So, so they probably already got your credit information by that point. So if you don't return it, they'll probably charge you more.
So you can't see. In other words, you can't see out of the windshield for as long as it's on.
Correct.
Good idea.
So you may see people with their heads hanging out the window driving around with barnacles on the front of their car because they don't have the money to get the barnacle off.
Sunroof.
Yeah, that is goofy.
Passenger hanging out the sunroof. Tell me when I have to turn. Yeah.
Turn left. Up. Slow down.
All right. Well, Chris Barnes is a trooper this morning. He's joining us with a serious wisdom tooth issue. So we appreciate you, Chris Barnes.
Thank you, Angie.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You make it through the morning?
I'll hang in there.
You're like a big teddy bear with a bad tooth. I'm sending you a hug. Here you go.
We got pliers. We could help you out.
Thanks, guys.
I tried that.
Oh, boy.